Sunday, Parshas Truma. My schedule tomorrow does not allow for me to do the Daf Hashavua, so Mitzvah will try to do a half Amid today, so this way we can keep up with the Daf. The Daf never ends, as we all know. So we're at the bottom of Yudches Amid Beis, the bottom line. The Mishnah had said, the Mishnah on Daf Yud Zayin had said, if you wrote it in all these types of dyes, al nyar val difta lo yatsa, rather it has to be written in ashuris al sefer ubdiyo. And now the Gemara is going to speak out what each one of these dyes are and the parchment. Says the Gemara, bottom line, sam is sama. Sam is some sort of red dye. Sikra amarav barachana sikra. I'm sorry, yellow dye, some sort of yellowish dye. Amarav barachana sikrasa. That sikra is a type of red dye. Sikrasa shema, its name is sikra. Kumos, kumus is like something that comes from Rashi says sraf ilan, from the sap of a tree. Now we're on to Yutes Amid Alf. Kankantum is charta de ushchafi, is a type of dye, that a black dye of a shoemaker's dye, black dye that you can't erase, and therefore is not going to be kosher because it has to be. We learn from sota that it has to be erasable. Charta de ushchafi. Diftera. What does diftera mean? It means the maliach. It was salted. Ukomiach, and it has kemach, it has flour. It was treated with flour and water. Below offits, but it wasn't finished off. It wasn't completed with gofitz, which is gallnut. So therefore, if you use these inks on diftera, ve'ala diftera, on this type of parchment, unfinished parchment, it's not going to be good. Niyar, or if you do it on niyar, is mechka. Niyar is mechka. Rashi says like some sort of roots of a certain type of roots that they used to use in the times of the Gemara for thick paper that they used to use as writing on. All these things don't work. Two dots achtek suba ashuris, until it's written in Hebrew and ashuris, and on dichsev kichsav kuzmanam, like it says that in the Megillah, it says the Megillah has to be written kiksavam as it's written, which was written in ashuris at first, ukizmanam. So we see that it has to be written in ashuris. Al sefer ubdiyo, it has to be written on a sefer ubdiyo, and with black ink, erasable ink. So says the Gemara, minalan. How do we know that that it has to be written on sefer ubdiyo, on a sefer and on a diyo? Says Gemara, asik ksiva ksiva. We learn a gzeir shava. We learn a comparison of ksiva ksiva. Not a real gzeir shava from the Torah, because the Megillah is not from the Torah, but it's a comparison nonetheless from Yirmiyah, which is also a Navi. Ksivach vatichtav Esther Amalka, and Esther Amalka wrote, so it says a lashon of ksiva, uksivasm, and it says in Yirmiyah v'yamulem Baruch, and Baruch said, mi piv yikare elai is called dvar meila, from my mouth. It was Yikar Elai, Mipif, from his mouth, from Hashem's mouth. Yikar Elai, he called to me, Eskol Advar Me'eli, he told me all these things. V'ani Kosev, and I wrote it, ala Sefer B'diyo, I wrote it on a Sefer B'diyo. So in that second pasuk in Yirmiyah, it also says a lashon of Kosev. So we learn out that just like in Yirmiyah, with the pasuk of Baruch, where he wrote it on a Sefer B'diyo, so too by Esther, it has to be written on a Sefer and B'diyo. Sefer is a finished parchment, meaning it's not unfinished like diphthera, but it's finished with fully finished parchment. Says the Gemara, Ben Yershal Chukrach, if a person in a big city who reads on the 14th went to a walled city it was in a walled city by Purim, when it was time to read the Megillah, Ben Krach Shalach Leir, and someone in a krach, in a walled city that reads on the 15th, that went to an ear to a big city who reads on the 14th, if he's going to go back to his place, if each one's going to go back to their city, Korekim Komo, he reads like his regular city where he comes from. Vimla, but if he's not going to go back Kari Maim, he reads with the city that he's in. The Gemara is going to explain what that means. The Gemara is going to explain that it means that you're going to be there through the morning. If you're going to be there through the morning, you read in the place where you read. Rav is going to say it. If you're not, then you read like your own city. Umehechan Kore, where do you read the Megillah from? Mehechan Kore Adam, Esa Megillah, we had this earlier. Where do you read the Megillah from? V'yotze, that you can be yotze ba. V'yotze ba yidechavasa, you're yotze, you're chiyav. Rameir Omer, Rameir says, Kula, you have to read the whole thing. From the beginning, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Me'ish Yehudi, you have to read from Ish Yehudi, which is in the second parak. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Me'achar Dvar Me'ela, after these things, Gidal HaMelech, Achashverosh Haman, whatever the exact lashon is, that's in the third parak. The Gemara is going to explain the machlokus, why some say the whole thing, why some say only from different parts. Either way, you have to read it from a whole Megillah. The Megillah has to be complete. The question is where you read it from. Says the Gemara. Amar Rava. Rava says, Lo shanu l'shas l'asa v'leila yudalid. The only time we said that a someone who lives in a big city, that's in a walled city, has to read, is going to read like his own city, that's sha'asa l'asa v'leila yudalid. That's when he's going back to his city on the 14th at night, before the morning. But if he's not going to go back, Kori Maim, he reads with the walled city on the 15th. Meaning, if let's say he's going to go back even on the Yudalid by day, he's going to daven Shachris, the morning's going to come, even if he's going to leave in the morning, and he's going to go back to his town. Once the morning comes, his obligation is for the place that he's in. So if it's the morning of Yudalid and he still didn't go home, he has to read the Megillah like a person of a walled city, which reads on the 15th. Amar Rav Mina Aminullah. How do I know this? Because it says in the pasuk, Al Kain, therefore, Yehudim Aprazim, the Yehudim that live in the big cities, the unwalled cities, Hayoshvim Bari Aprazos, the Prazim, the unwalled city people, city residents, Hayoshvim Bari Aprazos, that live in the walled city, in the unwalled cities. So, Frak the Gemara, Michli, let's see. It says the Yehudim, the Jews, Haprazim, that are residents of the unwalled cities. Why are you writing Hayoshim Barei Haprazos? Those same people that live in the unwalled cities, the Jews of the unwalled cities that live in the unwalled cities. What are you saying that you're just repeating yourself? How Kamashman, this comes to teach us the Paras ben Yomo, that Paras ben Yomo Nikra Paras. He's called a paras, that a paras of even if he's a paras for that day, meaning a guy that lives in the walled cities, even if he's in the place of a paras on that during that time, only ben yomo, just for that time, and he's not going back on the 15th. He's not going to be back for the 15th before the morning. He gets the din of a unwalled city resident, even though he's someone who usually lives in a walled city. Again, a paras ben yomo nikra paras, someone who's in a unwalled city, even though he's just there for that time, nikra paras, he's still called a person of an unwalled city. And the same thing is going to be true, says Rava, the other way around. If a person of a walled city, of an unwalled city, finds himself in a walled city, and now it's the 14th at night, and he doesn't know, should he lay in the Megillah, should he not? So the way he figures it out is he still going to be away for the morning? On the morning of the 14th, is he still not going to be in his town, his unwalled town? If he's not, if he's going to be with the people of the walled city, then he doesn't read the Megillah on that day. But ask the Gemara like this. Ashkan Paras, you just brought me a pasuk that told us about Prazim, about unwalled city. Ashkan Paras, that teaches us about someone who's a Parus, an unwalled resident, Mukaf Minal. And how do we know that it also applies for someone in a walled city, that the same thing goes on there? That someone from an unwalled city that is in a walled city, even if he's only there for a short time, he gets the halachas of a walled city. Minalan says Gemara Sfarahu, it's logical. The Paras ben Yomo Kari Paras, from the fact that someone who's in a unwalled city, only ben Yomo for that time, for that day, Kari Paras, he's called a Paras, he's called an unwalled resident for Megillah, Mukuf ben Yoma Kari Mukuf. So that teaches us that even someone that is in a walled city ben Yoma for that time, Kari Mukuf, he's also called someone from a walled city. So basically it comes out like this, that if a person in an unwalled city finds himself in a walled city for the morning of the 14th, he will read like the walled city, he'll read on the 15th, he will skip the 14th, and if someone who's someone in a walled city finds himself in the unwalled city on the morning of the 14th, he will read like the people in the 14th. Now, if someone in an unwalled city finds himself in a walled city and he knows at night, on the 14th at night, and he's going back that same night, so he has the halachas like an unwalled city, like his regular town, he will have to read the Megillah where he is in the walled city, because he's going back that night before the morning. And the same thing with someone from a walled city, if he finds himself at night in a unwalled city and he plans on going back before the morning, he won't read at all and he'll wait to read on the 15th when he gets back. Says the Gemara further. V'amar Rava says now another halacha. Ben kfar shalach liru ben kfar shalach liru. What happens if you have someone from a small village? If you remember, from the first Mishnah Megillah, we have the people from the small villages that don't have Baalei Kriya to be able to read. So we say that they could read earlier. They used to give food to the people in the bigger cities. So therefore, even let's say when Yudalid falls out on Wednesday, so we say that those people could read earlier on Monday when they go in to hear Kriya, or to sell, Rashi says, to sell their wares. So therefore, to Bezdin, Rashi says, if they're going in for Bezdin, so therefore they read earlier. So what happens? Ben Kfar, someone from this small village, that he went to an ear, he went to a big city, and now he's there. He already laned on Monday, and now he's on Wednesday. It's Yudalid, and he finds himself in a big city. Says the Gemara, Ben Kach u'Ben Kach Kori Imayim. Either way, he reads with them. Whether or not he's going to be going home that night, or he's not going to be going home till the morning, he should still read with them. Says the Gemara, my taima. What's the reason? Hi kibnei ya'ir v'yilamikri. That really this villager is really supposed to read like the unwalled big cities. That's really his time to read on the 14th. V'rabbanon hu dakilu al kfarim, and the Rabbanon are the ones that were makel on the villagers kadei she'yisapku mayim ozen lachem shebakrachim, so that they'll be able to give food and drink they'll have time on Purim to give food and drink to the people in the big villages. So so we say that's only if he ends up being in his own city on the 14th. So we say, okay, you already read on the 12th when you were in on Monday. But that's when he's in his town. When he's in the big city during the time of the Megillah, he still has to read like that because that's the main time. I'm going to ask you a question. We just have to answer. The Gemara says, that the reason the Chachamim allowed a villager to read earlier is so that he'll be able to feed the others. If you remember, the Gemara earlier comes out in the Maskana that that's not the reason. The reason is as a prize, as a reward for him, that because the whole year he feeds the people in the big cities, on Purim we allow him to not have to go into the cities to do so. He could read earlier. So it was for his benefit. The Gemara seems to say here now that we let the villager read earlier for the benefit of who? For the benefit of the big city goers. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. Let me just finish to do that. Eis ve'Abai. Abai now asks a question on Rava. Rava just got finished saying that a villager has to read, if he's in the big towns on the 14th, he has to read like them. Eis ve'Abai asks a question from Brisa. It says, Ben krach shalach lir, if someone from a big city, from a walled city, goes to a large unwalled city, Ben kachu ben kach korikim komo, no matter when he's going to be going back, he reads like his own town. So frek the Gemara, that's totally the opposite of what we just said. This new Bryce is saying that someone of a walled city, that goes to a unwalled city, a big one. Either way, no matter what, he reads Kimkomo like his walled city. So ask the Gemara, Ben Krach Salkadaidach. When it says Ben Krach, that a person of a walled city, does it mean person of a walled city? If he's going back, Talia Milsa, that's what it depends on. Depends if he's going to go back by the morning, like we just learned. That if he's going to go back by the morning, then he reads like his place. But if he's not going to go back by the morning, then he doesn't. Then he reads like the place that he's in. So how could you say this halach? How could the Bryce say that? Elah must be that when it says Ben Krach, it really means Ben Kfar. It means a villager that's going to a unwalled city. Either way, he reads like the walled city. So you see that. So Abai has a kasha. So you see that what? Elah Ben Kfar. So therefore, it's talking about a Ben Kfar. And what does the Brisa say? The Brisa says Ben Kfar. Shaholach Leir, Ben Kach Ben Kach Korikim Komo. He reads like his place, like the village, not like the city that he's in. Exactly the opposite of what Rava says. Answers the Gemara. Wait a second. Either way, you had to explain that when it says Ben Krach, it means a villager, Ben Kfar. You had to explain that. So you're changing a little bit of the obvious meaning of the Brisa. So says the Gemara.